Welcome to Inside the 18. I'm Michael Magid, live at least for one more day in Hollywood, California. With me, someone else who will not be in Hollywood, California, or anywhere in California in the next 24 hours. The one and only Pro GK Academy himself, Omar Zini. Omar, we got a big plane to catch. Well, maybe I don't know how big the plane is.
We do. I'm excited. Kansas City Coaches Convention. It's always a good time at those conventions, man. I'm excited for that.
I'm really excited about that. And if you guys don't know what we're talking about the United Soccer Coaches Convention, January 19th to the 23rd, putting it right up there for all you guys in Kansas City. We're going to be on Podcast Row. Come by, say hello to us. I know last time when we were in Baltimore, people were just coming up to Omar in droves, just wanting to take pictures of him, you know, as if it was like they spotted Bigfoot or something like that. They're like, he does exist. He's an actual person.
I think what I liked about it, though, is that people were like, I've heard Mike's voice for so many years. I've heard your voice for so many years. It's nice to finally put a face to the voice. So it was nice to, on both ends, you got some attention too. Don't lie to the audience.
Oh, well, thank you. That's very kind of you to say. I mean, it's something, Omar, that I need to get a lot better at, because like this morning there was a post on Facebook from a pretty hot show in LA, stand-up show. And they said, hey, looking for new hosts to join. Anybody who's like a really solid host and everything. And then a lot of people just started posting about themselves, and I had posted about other people. And I was like, wait, was I just supposed to like brag about myself? Like, what am I doing? I keep shooting myself in the foot. So I need to get better at that boastfulness. So
It's a process. You'll get there. You'll get there.
Oh man. I mean, one of the really cool things, obviously, in regards to the Coaches Convention, is that there's a lot of different things that take place there. It's not just like the exhibit hall where there's like a lot of fancy gadgets you can check out. There's also presentations, webinars, on-field sessions. There's all sorts of cool stuff going on. And I think, what we wanted to do today, guys, is first off, we were going to talk about a little bit of a project that we've got going on that we're now part of. Is the Union Sports just launched, which is a new free social media app out there. And the Goalkeeping Community was the first one to launch today. And obviously this is near and dear to your heart, Omar. Why don't you tell people a little bit about it?
Yeah, I mean, I'll give him a little bit of a backstory. So, Mike and I, obviously met a few years ago, and not a few years ago, we started working together a few years ago on the podcast. I've known you, Mike, since you trained me way back in the day. So we've had a working relationship on that side, but in a personal side, I shared with you that, growing up, there were things that I wanted to see from the goalkeeping community. I used to watch a lot of old VCR tapes and things that my parents would get at these coaches conventions. I would watch them. And then obviously, as I started getting more familiar with social media, posting my own content, I had mentioned to you, I was like, look, I would love to see all the coaches that we know and all the goalkeepers that we know just share ideas aside from Twitter, aside from the current social medias. I just felt like there needed to be a social media for us, by us. I don't want to take, FUBU, the old clothing brand, but I just really wanted to see something that we could all benefit from. And then obviously, we made some connections with the app world and got our idea onto an actual, device. And yeah, we're super excited to launch it. I think it's just for us, just sharing ideas and for everyone to have like an equal opportunity. I think with social media, we've all seen all the algorithms point to favorable content where you have to chase likes, chase views, and sometimes you almost have to lose your integrity to do that. And we really wanted to make a platform that allowed everybody to feel as though when they shared something, the community was showing them love back or giving them criticism that was constructive. So we're really excited for this, and I hope I didn't ramble there, but I'm just excited to have it out there. And we've been working on this for about a year, so it's nice to have other people's eyes on it.
I mean, I love like just the passion that you've got right there, Omar, in regards to it. And I think, one of the really cool things about this, and we are going to be previewing these sessions in a second, but I think it is important that, because a lot of you guys have been asking questions, and we're probably going to walk through the app in a few minutes as well too, is that this is a free platform. This is something you don't have to pay for to come on board. People are saying, oh, what's the catch? What's the catch? What's the catch? I mean, the catch is, honestly, guys, is we want an inclusive community that's got diverse representation, and there's a lot of people that are just kind of lost on traditional social media because the algorithms don't cater to goalkeeping, really. So
yeah, I mean, also too, everyone has different not I would say the word agenda, but everyone has a different approach with social media and media in general. For me, when I was younger, I think my approach to it at first was to gain a following. But then after, I kind of got that following, I started getting people's constructive feedback about my sessions. And I started realizing, well, if I'm going to be a coach and I want to have my work speak for itself, like I need to get as many people's eyes on it and as much feedback, constructive feedback as I can, so I can improve the content. And then obviously, as the process progressed, I started noticing that certain content was receiving more love and all that stuff. And I just said, you know what? Okay, if we're going to do this the right way, we have to make sure that we're not trying to have an algorithm decide what makes it to the top. And like you said, Mike, diverse representation. We have a lot of young coaches as well who reach out to me and say, hey, how can I get more views? How can I do this and that better? And I'm like, look, as I told Connor O'Keefe and one of my good friends from social media, I said, your videos will take a little bit longer to gain that traction, but keep doing what you're doing. Keep on being authentic, being organic with your content, and really showing people the value. And over time, the people who, go for views, they're not going to really have that connection with their audience. And I feel like, again, we really want to allow users obviously to contribute, but young coaches to come on and then really share their sessions and have the community, again, just give them the support that they need so that someone can end up like me, where you had that support that kept you going and you wanted to improve and improve and improve. And once you've improved now, hopefully the next step for you is getting into, bigger roles as a coach or whatever it is that you have as your life goals.
And I think, one of the cool things that you're saying right there, Omar, in regards to that whole mentoring aspect about it, guys. And we're not trying to make this an infomercial, but we really do believe in what this is. And again, it is a free platform, which I think we're very, very excited about, is the fact that now we're going to Kansas City. We're going to be there on Podcast Row with the podcasts. We're going to be also watching all these different sessions and presentations. And a lot of these coaches that are going to be doing these sessions and presentations, this is the type of environment, guys, where you take that online to offline connection, so you make these online connections, through social media, and now offline, when we go to Kansas City, we actually get to talk to these people and learn from them in their actual environment, which is, it's just so beneficial, on both ends.
Yes. And as you guys will probably see, Mike works his butt off when we go to these places to connect with as many people. That's the first time I ever met Tim Dittmer, who's now doing presentations for FIFA. He's the FA director of goalkeeping. You meet guys like that, high profile people, and you start to realize too, you break that fourth wall, like how down to earth they are, and that we have goalkeeping as that baseline for, foundation of a friendship and a relationship. And again, that's when we talk about with the app as well. It is free, but also too, we're trying to get those, those bigger coaches to continue sharing their content, and as well break down that fourth wall for you guys. And if you're ever in the area, whether it's England, whether you're in Los Angeles and want to come watch one of my sessions, now we really want to try and create that community. And that's our biggest thing, is communities in sports. So, yeah,
that's a really awesome thing, Omar, that you just brought up right there. And we're going to show the functionality of the app in a little bit after we go through these sessions and everything. But is that, for instance, if we're in Kansas City, on the app, you can literally find out which coaches, what players, whoever's on the app is around you, like within a specific area based on the GPS. So you can know that Omar is 2 miles away, and you can go and hit him up and say, hey man, I hear that you're 2 miles away. I'm down the street. Do you mind if I come and watch your session? And that's how we start creating this honest community, as opposed to these faceless, for lack of a better term, trolls on the internet. No, but it's true. But it's true though. I mean, that like, they're not, they're being anonymous, and I understand some people don't want to be anonymous or whatever, but again, we're trying to create an inclusive community where it's going to be constructive and everyone's going to work with each other as against each other, so.
Absolutely. I think that's the biggest one too, is that we don't want to create any competition. I think that's the big one as well. When we have people on the platform, it's just really, because we have different segments that we have the platform broken up to in terms of how you share your content. So you can put it into discussions, training footage. And then once you actually click on, which we'll show you, click on training footage, all the footage that people have posted will be on there. So you almost have like an encyclopedia. You have like literally videos on videos on videos to choose from. You can bookmark things, very similar to what you see on social media, but again, it's open to anybody. It's free. Post. And for me as well, just getting more ideas. And I think that's the biggest one as well. Here at LAFC, we have a new goalkeeper coach who just came in, and he and I chatted as well. And from a simple 5-minute conversation, I got to learn so much about what he values in a goalkeeper, what he sees. And sometimes, those conversations are just so invaluable for me as a young coach, as I internalize it. I then obviously, pick on little things that I really like about it, and then add it to my coaching repertoire, I guess. And again, that's what we kind of want to do with that, with the app, is it's just allow everybody to learn from one another, without necessarily having to worry about algorithms or, posting for certain numbers.
Yeah. And by the way, for some of you guys who've been saying like, wait a second, we've already been on the app. We did have a friends and family kind of a VIP where we reached out to a small amount of people to get them on there. So shout out to people like Juan Cervantes at UCLA, who's really been utilizing the app and properly and really getting his content out there and really asking questions and wanting to grow from the conversations and the discussion. So the forum is just going to be so massive. But why don't we switch gears right now to the Kansas City convention? Like I said, there's going to be some great presentations. I want to walk everybody through. I know a lot of you guys are going, so please come by and say hello to us. So we're going to start off with Wednesday, guys. Wednesday, 7:30 to 8:30. Omar, is this is so near and dear to your heart. I know it's teaching in a game realistic environment, and that's going to be being run by the one and only TKI's Jill Lloyden.
Yes. What am I going to say? I mean, we've had her on the show multiple times. We see the value that she has, great playing career, and also too, just following her on social media, the Keeper Institute, TKI. If you guys don't know her or follow her yet, go on there. For me at least, now working at LAFC, a lot of the things that I've seen her just working on the person out, off the field as well, and trying to help them create an identity for themselves has been huge for me. So I know whatever she puts together is going to be class. So I'm excited to see that happen.
And I think, one of the cool things about a session like this is there's a lot of concept talk, Omar, when it comes to teaching in a game realistic environment, and people, talk a good game and everything like that. But it's really when you see somebody that does this day in and day out at TKI, shout out to TKI in regards to some of the session designs. You guys need to check them out on social media. Speaking of social media, that they do out there. They're doing it right. And it's not just throwing a bunch of balls out there, right, Omar, and saying like, well, it's a game realistic environment, because they're just scrimmaging. There's a little bit of a plan to it.
Absolutely. I think that's the beauty, obviously, of going to these conventions, is you get to see people's, their definition of a term that a lot of people, throw around as like buzzwords. So I'm excited just to see how they do it. I mean, again, those experiences as well, you can always come in with a specific approach to how you run things in terms of game realistic stuff. And then you see other people's, and she's been doing it for so long, so you get to see the fine tuning process of how they've gotten to their current endpoint. I guess there's always an evolution, but I think what they see in terms of game realistic stuff, whether that's consequences, letting the goalkeeper know that if they let in a ball, or the pass isn't executed properly, there's going to be a punishment for it, or there's going to be something that happens to them because of it. So obviously you create that environment of stress that you would see in a game. So all those things like that, I think, are very, very important to make sure that those things are planned in and layered into those sessions. And I think, again, I wouldn't be surprised if I walked out of there with like a notepad full of notes that.
Dude, I know you're gonna have a giant notepad with you. I mean, we're gonna be getting in around, like, I think it's like 2:00 or so, and that's at 7:30. So maybe after a little bit of dinner, we'll be able to get there early and watch the setup and everything like that. And again, that's what's so valuable about these conventions. And by the way, guys, for anyone who's like, why aren't you checking about this session or this other session? There's like 400 different presentations. I mean, there's only so many, and we just wanted to go through a few that we really got excited about. So
there's so many presentations, and I think also too, we have our podcast going on as well. So like, we just have so much going on, and we have a the booth for the app as well. So be talking to people about that stuff. So we want to make sure that we don't hit capacity by Friday. We want to try and like last with stamina until Saturday, and then obviously we're back on Sunday. But yeah, and we started preseason today too with LAFC. So it's just been a very which I want to get there. I want to use the flight to kind of relax, de-stress a little bit, probably, message people on the app. And then once Thursday starts, man, it's full speed ahead. Or Wednesday. No, it's Wednesday. Sorry. Wednesday.
Tomorrow with Jill. That's the first session at 7:30 that we get checking out. But speaking of Podcast Row, I mean, real quickly, I just want to preview some of the people that we're going to have on Podcast Row. So guys, really make sure that you're coming by Podcast Row and checking us out. People like Aaron McLeod. I mean, like, just legit Dr. Bill Steffen, Dr. Joe Macknick, a lot of doctors, Dan Abrahams, Dr. Dan Abrahams. There's a lot of doctors going on. Obviously, Jill Lloyd and Franz Hook. I mean, just the list of people that are going to be on Podcast Row with us, not including our big special event at 3:30 on Saturday, which we'll get to in a second, is just phenomenal. So, guys, make sure you're coming by and checking us out. Speaking of somebody that I'm not as familiar with, but you know quite well, he's got a wonderful session on Thursday called The Goalkeeper Development, Creating the Youth Goalkeeper Environment, which, again, this is something that a lot of times we've had these conversations on this show in regards to the difference between a youth environment and a professional environment. And that's going to be run by not one and only Ryan Coulter of Houston Dynamo. Omar, anything you want to say?
I mean, if you guys have the opportunity to go watch Ryan, I would highly recommend it. I've had him on my podcast before. For me, just a wealth of knowledge, and he's been in that system with Paul Rogers and Jason Grubb in the Houston Dynamo setup. And I think for me, I'm trying to learn as much as I can, and I know I'll go in there with my notepad as well, but just as much as I can. Sometimes I feel like when I run those younger sessions, I don't have I don't make it as fun as I should. And I feel like when you go into these younger environments, you kind of have to have that element of fun, and obviously to start implementing the standards that you want to have at the next level. But I think for me, just being able to work and see somebody who's in that environment more often than I am, I think it's very important.
It's funny what you said there in regards to, making it fun. I think, two guys that do a very good job of this, and then ironically, both of them were at Birmingham City around the same time and now have moved on to other places such as Bristol Rovers and Arsenal. Matt Doyle and Andy Elleray done a very good job of understanding that kind of that youth mindset. Terry Mason as well too. I mean, some really, really solid people out there who understand how to keep it fun, ask questions, but just keep that environment really instructive. And I'm sure Ryan does a phenomenal job with that, because I know Houston Dynamo has done an excellent job with their youth academy over the years. Let's talk about this one right here. By the way, guys, there's going to be two sessions for that. There's a field session. First, there's the webinar or presentation on the wall, the PowerPoint, and then there's going to be an on-field session. And I encourage you to go to both. I encourage you to, in the morning, to go and check out the session, get some information from the PowerPoint, and then see kind of it all put together in the afternoon. So the next one, this one I'm really excited about, because this guy really doesn't need an introduction, Omar. This is Thursday at 2:30, and this is the cooperation between the head coach, other staff, and the goalkeeper coach, and that's going to be run by not one and only Franz Hook. So that's going to be next level. I'm very excited for that.
Yeah, I think we had Franz on the podcast a few years back, and I think one of the points that we had discussed was trying to create as best you could the final picture for the goalkeeper as close you can to the game. And I think he and I disagreed at some points about how we would go about doing that, and without sometimes having the full, obviously the full field, but at the same time too, like a full back four and a 6 or 2 6s, however the team plays. And sometimes when you have, how I was, like a private practice, it's very difficult to create that environment, to create that feeling that you're part of the team. And he was obviously hounding me about that. He was like, look, wherever you are, not on your private side, but if you're with the professional team or college team, as best you can, try to communicate with the head coach to let them know that you're trying to recreate those images. And you have to kind of take the initiative sometimes, because we are kind of pushed off to the side, unfortunately, but take the initiative to go to the coach and say, look, these are the situations that I'm noticing that our goalkeepers are being played into. Can we recreate these photos? Whether it's, restarts on goal kicks, whether it's a transitional opportunity where the ball gets cleared and now the opposing defense is stepping up, and then we're just getting into our back four, our back three. So we're really trying to create those images, and I'm excited to see how he does it. Hopefully again, I always walk out of any presentation with some notes. So hopefully, I walk out of there as well. And Franz, obviously on the podcast, will be able to rehash the presentation and speak to him about it.
And I'm really excited to actually get his feedback on that in regards to when we speak to him a little bit more on a one-on-one basis there. But I think, one of the really cool things about Franz and, Omar, first off, give yourself a little bit of credit. At the time, you weren't in that LAFC environment. You were still just doing primarily private coaching. So I think you'd probably have a very different attitude towards that podcast today 2 years later. Wouldn't you agree?
I honestly forgot. I'm not going to lie to you. I forgot like what was said in the podcast. I hardly ever I listen to the podcast every now and again, but sometimes I don't like hearing my voice on audio. So sometimes, usually, whatever we record, I leave it as is. And people will reach out to me, not till this day, but right after the podcast, and we're like, "Man, you and Franz kind of went at it." And I was just like, I don't think we went at it. We obviously disagreed on the approach of having a private setup where you really don't have the full field, let alone the equipment to set up something to make it seem like you have a back line or whatever it is. And people always reached out to me and were just like, "Man, you guys really, that was a good discussion. You held your own. Good job." And I'm just like, I just needed to let Franz know that we're not in the Barcelona setup or whatever setup he was, where you have the academy guys, showing up and assisting training. So I think if I were to look back and see any progress that I've made from that, I think, in my opinion, it was just being a little bit more open-minded to those discussions and trying to see as best I could, taking that information and trying to process it and then trying to adjust it to my environment.
Well, I think, one of the things before we move on, kind of the next one here is, I think that, to be honest with you, now with you having to work with multiple staffs consistently over and over and over again, you're probably going to be able to take more from this presentation, than you would have a couple of years ago, because you've been in that environment of having to work with a staff of not just a first team, like even at the college level where it's just that one college staff. You're working with 3 teams now. You've got the first team, you got the reserves, and they got the youth academy, and so now you're really starting to understand that dynamic.
Yes. I think that's again, even speaking to Oka, the new goalkeeper coach. Oh, I hope it's been announced. I hope so. Even speaking with him today, and he was just like, yeah, obviously we need to, have good communication to make sure that we do.
He's doing like Voldemort, like he who shall not be named. So.
Well, he has a unique name, so hopefully no one looks it up. But yeah, again, it's just having that synergy and having at the very least one session, maybe 2 sessions a week, where it doesn't have to be the bulk of the session, but at 15, 20 minutes, letting the coach know, hey, we'd love to create this environment for the goalkeeper. I cannot do that myself. Obviously, you can create somewhat of an environment, but as best we can, let's try and make a game-like. And again, this morning I helped the first team run their goalkeeper session. And, I was working in the activation,
So what did that encompass? Did that encompass you picking up cones, or what exactly were you doing?
No, so Oka couldn't train today because he was, taking care of the COVID stuff, and he flew in yesterday, I think. So he was off to the side, kind of just observing the session. But what I did was the 2 goalkeepers that we had, just wanted to get them working on in possession, out of possession. It's the first day of preseason. Didn't want to kill their bodies, but just giving them opportunities to, switch the point of attack or go back to the side that they came from, and giving them different looks of how they look without the ball and creating space and all that. So I did that today. And then as soon as I finished that, they got involved with the team, but it was goal kicks, and they were showcasing. They were showing how the defense, the offensive pressure looked like. So our goalkeepers, based on how the activation of when I had them, they didn't have as much time. The windows were a lot shorter, and obviously the execution had to be at a high standard, because if not, where there's actual punishment for it. So I think, again, it's having as many of those practice opportunities where the goalkeepers can get legitimate pressure and the stress is actually built into the session versus me trying to recreate it. And again, we can recreate it as best as we can, but at the same time, I'm getting to the age now where doing those 10-yard sprints and pressing like an attacker become a little bit tiresome, a little bit exhausting. But as best you can to try and recreate that.
Well, it's funny. This is a great segue into kind of the next session right here, and this is actually a really cool session right here that I was checking out. This is not being run by a goalkeeper. This is actually being run by a team coach, and this is from a guy over at Surf, Eric Oman, and it's the youth coach, how to utilize the goalkeeper effectively in your sessions. Omar, how important is this presentation for team coaches to go and watch?
It's everything. I mean, even just, speaking about what we're talking about with Franz, I think there just needs to be a clarity, not just as us goalkeeper coaches communicating it. It's more so the head coach, in my opinion, assistant coaches as well, should always have a vision for how their goalkeeper wants to play, and then how they can insert them into training. And Steve, working with Steve last year, he would always ask and say, hey, we can use the goalkeepers here as the endpoints, and have them be the ones to distribute the passes and be the ones who you need to combine with to get the ball over the line. And I was like, yes, absolutely, because now you give them a mindset of we're trying to find solutions in tight spaces. And obviously when the field gets a little bit more opened up and you have a little bit more time than the little, the rondos, but a little bit more time to find your solutions, because your mind has been activated and those triggers have been switched on of, okay, if I feint this way, that creates this pocket. Well, if that pocket's closed, then that pocket's open. So it's very much creating the thinking goalkeeper and like the proactiveness of being someone who can be utilized with their feet. And I feel like, again, speaking to Oka today, it was like at least once a week, let's try and get the goalkeepers on the field, just because they need to get that vision. And we talk about
hold on, you actually get them playing on the field as field players? Is that what you mean?
I didn't follow up with him on that, so I don't want to quote it, but it was essentially, let's try and get them on the field as much as possible and get them playing with their feet as much as possible. So whether that's being a neutral or being the endpoint and people have to combine with, or actually being on the field, two different things. But at the same time, you're still trying to get that same goal of activating that mindset of when you receive the ball, can you be a playmaker without hurting the team? Can you assess the risk versus reward in live time as quickly as possible? And then you need the repetitions. So getting those reps and getting that in. So again, this session is going to be interesting because I have my vision on how I would integrate a goalkeeper into a session, but it's always nice to see how others communicate that as well.
But I think that's something that's really important in regards to this session right here, is that I think field player coaches, head coaches, and the goalkeeper coaches need to be on the same page on how to effectively integrate the goalkeeper, because I think a lot of times the goalkeeper coach has a specific vision on how they want to integrate the goalkeeper. The team coach has a different one. And for a lot of the team coaches that are going to this session, and guys, it's at 2:30 to 3:30 on Thursday, just so that you guys know, is that they look at the drills and they go, great, here's the drills. These are awesome. I'm going to do these with my goalkeeper when I go home with my team. But they don't realize the why. And the thing is what you really need to know is, why do you want your goalkeeper incorporated in these drills? And why are you integrating them, right?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, that's probably like the process that a lot of people need to go through after convention is, okay, I got all this new information. Now, how can I put my touch to it? How can I filter the stuff that I understand and stuff that I don't understand? And then I think that's, for me, was the biggest one as well. Is like, I saw these drills, but my voice isn't the same voice as how Mike would run the session. How am I going to implement my standards and my demands within this exercise? So I think, again, that's one as well, where when you go to the head coach and you try to tell them, this is what I want for the goalkeeper, you need to understand, again, the substance of information that you're giving to them, not just regurgitating what you saw. And I think that's the next step for a lot of us young coaches, is to really, again, not overdo it where you feel like you're like trying too hard to establish yourself, but at the same time having like that reasonable backing as, okay, I sat down, I thought about this, this makes sense to me, let's try and implement this.
By the way, Omar, I keep seeing you turn your head like that, and I'm just picturing everybody at the LAFC offices just walking by and thinking like, there's Omar again talking to himself for another hour. Goes in these rooms and talking to himself.
Well, there's Omar over there telling the secrets of the club. I mean, just like this is what they did in training. Is it like a live tweet through?
Oh my gosh, is there like an NDA you have to sign or anything like that?
No. I think we're good.
I want to do this. I want to share another one sessions, and again, we're not doing this, because she sent us a Venmo or a Cash App or a PayPal, although she can if she wants to. It's at Comedy in English. It's not for the podcast. Is Jill Lloyden is running another great session that I can't wait to see, and that's the principles of playing in possession. For those of you guys who don't know, San Diego goalkeeper Kaylin Sheridan, who was at Gotham, worked quite a bit at TKI, and she really credits a lot of the work that she did at TKI in regards to understanding how to play in possession. And as we can, attest, Omar, I mean, you would say Kaylin's one of the best in the world when it comes to, playing short in possession and finding the proper channels and all that stuff. So tell us a little bit about what you're thinking about this session.
I think the way, in my opinion, how I think Jill would structure this is, there's principles when you're trying to build, and there's back three sometimes, and you act as that opposite center back or in the back four, and you have to obviously create space so that your center backs can create numerical advantages. So it's like, in my opinion, the way I think Joe will structure this is understanding and utilizing your goalkeeper's best strengths and understanding how they fit best in the way you want to build from the back. So I think that's the biggest thing for me is there's going to be goalkeepers who are better with short range passes and like to do little rondos and try to do numerical advantages and triangles in short possession. But there's also people like Kalen who can play the ball left-footed, right-footed, short distance, medium range, long range, where you can really open it up a little bit more. So I think, again, it's probably going to be, these are the foundational pieces. These are the principles that you need. But then also, too, as a goalkeeper, this is how you should try to best use those principles to add your little flair, add your style to it.
And I think one of the things that you said right there is what I really, really love is add your own style to it. I think the biggest problem that happens in regards to session design when it comes to playing in possession is that a lot of young goalkeeper coaches get frustrated. And please watch Jill's session, guys. Again, that session, I believe, is on Saturday, and that's 1:30 to 2:30. I want you guys to see how she's not expecting each goalkeeper to play like the other goalkeeper, because everyone's got their own strengths and weaknesses. And maybe some players are great at going long. Maybe some players, their feet aren't as strong. Maybe some players are more comfortable with the ball under pressure, and others are less comfortable with under pressure. And Omar, I don't know how you feel about this, but like, I think a mistake that I made is I used to say, well, conceptually, this is what you're supposed to do in that scenario. And you didn't do that. You did something else, but it was effective. So why do I care?
I think so, yeah. I think that's also, again, speaking to some of the goalkeepers here and people that I've spoken to as well, is they have responded best when their coaches obviously introduce a concept, but allow them the time to actually adjust. A lot of times, and myself included, when you run a session, if right off the bat something is wrong, we try to shut it down. And that goalkeeper's instinct now is to second guess every decision that they're making versus, I think it was, oh my God, I'm forgetting his name, Mike. But essentially one of the coaches we've had on, he says, and maybe Tim as well, is praise the intent. Sometimes the final action and the execution may not be.
A lot of our coaches have said that. So don't.
I think it came from Tim. It came from Tim Dittmer is to praise the intent, and I think that's something that has stuck with me, obviously at the younger ages, but also too with the more experienced goalkeepers of, this is what your instinct is telling you to do. Yes, the standard, it needs to be high. And if the pass execution isn't there, we'll have a discussion about it. But I want to allow you that opportunity to let that mistake or that bad execution sit with you for a little bit. And then you need to have your voice trained around that adversity versus me stepping in and saying, this is what I want. This is what I want. You already know what the standard is. Now you need to find that internal voice to really allow you to bounce back from those situations. And in my opinion, working with Alex Randall last year, we've had a lot of those games where some of the passes just weren't good enough. And then at halftime, we say, hey, look, you need to be comfortable if plan A is not there, which is what your sauce, I called it, your style of, banging passes, doing a good job. Now let's keep it simple. Let's, there's adversity. Let's see what plan B looks like. Let's try and get it into a half space. Let's try and get it into an attacker's feet versus inviting so much pressure when your passes aren't on. Little by little, and again, Tim Dittmer calls it, it's chunking. You start getting one pass that works, then two passes, then three passes. Now you're 10 passes deep, and that adversity you faced 10 passes ago, the confidence is back. So I think it's important to just let the goalkeeper find that internal voice to come back from the adversity and to essentially be able to dig themselves out of a hole.
Dude, I was just going to say, first off, you say that you don't have a great memory. Meanwhile, we've done, I think, over 400 interviews in the last 3 years or so. So I mean, I'm not joking. I'm probably pretty high up there, probably something like that. And the fact that you still remember from these specific people. So I don't think it's that you have a bad memory, Omar. I think you have a selective memory. I think that's how it works. And you're like, oh, I never listened to the podcast, but I know everything Tim Dittmer said. So I listened to that one quite a bit.
Man, Tim, there have been so many good guests, dude. And I think, this week it's going to be an interesting one as well, speaking with Tim again. And just getting those voices back on here, which again, everyone evolves in my opinion. So I'm excited. Let's see.
Yeah. I want to say
So
this.
Brian,
Oh, did Brian Catalano just join us here? Hold on. What's he saying here? That to me is also where teams, head coaches need to be clear in delivering what the style is and what the sequence of operations/priorities is. What Omar just referenced as plan A versus plan B. Keepers can find what works for them, but the plan should be clearly communicated by the head coach too. So also the field players know their role. Brian, sorry to put you on blast right there. I just thought this was a really good point and figured we would throw it up there. I
yes,
think I couldn't agree. I couldn't agree more, Brian. I think that is a big, because, and I've made that mistake before. I'm like, well, no, we know the plan. We know the plans now, but we told the goalkeeper, or we talked within ourselves, but we didn't talk to the field players. And the field players and the goalkeepers both have to be on the same page. I think
yes.
that's a real disconnect. Go ahead, Omar.
That I think that has been the biggest one, and I'll give a personal example. In college, I personally love to play short and then build from the back, but our team at Davis wasn't set up that way. So what ends up happening is I would set my guys up extremely deep, and then obviously we were trying to find targets up top. So then we'd have the field would be wide and spread out, and then the center of the park would be wide open. So we'd have like 5 up, the attacking side, and then 4, and then maybe a 6 in the middle. And I sometimes would show the short, and then I'd play it long. So what ends up happening is if we don't win that initial ball, that header comes straight back. And now because our center backs are so deep, now if our 6 doesn't win the ball, then their strikers receive the ball, turn at goal about 25 yards out. So that communication piece was never implemented in training. So our center backs didn't know, or I didn't know at least, that, hey, maybe I got to push you up first, get us all up if we're not going to play short. So that way we're all together and we can actually win that second ball and not put ourselves in bad positions. And I think what I'm just trying to say is there just needs to be clear communication of this is what we're going to try to do. And then each person knows their role within that piece. Okay, if plan A is not there and we're going to go big, now we're going to look for the knockdown, or we're going to look for, those half spaces or those spaces in the corners. So again, as Brian's saying, it's just making sure that in training, those things are discussed, and then everyone knows their role, so that you don't have you trying to play out of the back as a goalkeeper, but then you're playing to players who don't want the ball because no one had communicated that with them.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point, is that we need to know what is going on in the field player's mind, which really moves us on to our next presentation. And this one is called The Mind of the Attacking Player. I am really excited for this one, Omar. This is Saturday from 3:30 to 4:30, and it's being run by just some people that they signed up on on a sign up list. It was a sign up list, and they said, "Hey, who wants to run a presentation?" This is going to be run. It's Charlie Inverso, Omar Zini, Saskia Weber, Eric Winalda, and then I'll be there at some point. No, I'll be there the entire time. But honestly, those names are more important right there. This is a really great opportunity, guys, because what we're basically going to do is have somebody like an Eric Winalda, who's a Hall of Famer, and one of the best strikers, in the history of U.S. soccer, there to really tell us what they're thinking in these moments. So, Omar, do you want to go a little more in depth into it?
Yeah, I think the title says it. It brings me back to our conversation with Michelle Akers I think maybe almost over a year now. And she was one of the most prolific goal scorers, probably the most prolific U.S. soccer. And speaking to her about her mindset of what she sees on 1v1s, or with shots from the angles, or just anything that results in goal scoring. And obviously our job as goalkeepers is to not let goal scorers parade around and celebrate. So I think, again, that conversation opened up my mind to, damn, okay, those are the things that are going, and you guys are processing the same exact analytics or data points that we're looking for. You're doing the exact same on the opposite side. So I think it opened my eyes to realize that, okay, maybe we need the goalkeepers as well sometimes to be analyzing film, to be playing on the field, to be playing as strikers, to see what are the little things that we see as field players and as strikers that we can try to exploit.
And one of the really cool things I think that about this panel, and obviously, we were doing a little tongue in cheek, because we are honestly really honored and humbled. I mean, honestly, Omar, what was that? Was this going to be our 4th convention? And the first time we came around, it was very much wet behind the ears. And geez Louise, we're just happy to be here. And to 4 years later, all of a sudden, be actually presenting in a main hall. I mean, never in my life did I think that was going to happen. I thought they would just keep us, shoved to the corner and say, here you can have your little podcast if you want that, but not leave this to the big boys here. but we are honored about it. And Omar, you're putting together a really cool presentation of some of these different scenarios and moments, and to be able to talk to Eric to see, because I think a lot of times as goalkeeper coaches, or as goalkeepers playing specifically, we overestimate what the striker's thinking. We overthink it, as opposed to recognize how simple that they're keeping it, and that's why they're so cool, calm, and collective.
Yeah, I think we give the strikers too much credit or too much respect. And I think if you look at like Ronaldo and Messi, I think sometimes the goalkeepers try and guess because they're already kind of at a disadvantage because of how good those strikers are. But I think at the levels that we're trying to coach at, that level of sophistication is rather similar. So we got to make sure that we respect our work in the goal and respect that we're not going to make it easy, or I guess predetermined default decision, so the strikers can just slot it one way or the other. Actually give ourselves a fair chance, step up to the plate and be like, you know what, I've built enough of a good foundation and I trust my ability to make a save here, so I'm going to stay big. And then you start realizing that strikers don't really have an answer. If you do stay big, they're just going to have to try and beat you, and it has to be the finest of margins of execution on their end. So don't make that window any bigger.
And by the way, any goalkeepers or goalkeeper coaches that are listening to this that are going to be in Kansas City, we're going to have a Q&A there as well, Omar, right? So you're going to be able to ask some questions to Eric and ourselves on the panel as well, too, on what we thought of these different scenarios, because you might have something that you saw that we didn't see, and we want to learn from you, too.
Agreed. I think those questions always open up a different part of our minds to realize, okay, we may be thinking it, but that person verbalize it in a way that we never thought was a way to verbalize it. So those conversations are always nice.
Yeah. And guys, again, guys, that's Saturday at 3:30 to 4:30. Really, again, guys, not because we're running it, we really do think this is an important topic that a lot of people, and tell field player coaches about this one too, because I think it's important for them. All right, guys, we just have one more right here that I want to run through. Actually, two more, and then we're gonna talk a little bit about the union. And this is one that should we put this on this lineup or not? And that is futsal goalkeeper analysis and training, which is Saturday from 4:45 to 5:45. That's Vilmer Marquez from US Futsal and Nicholas Noriga. I haven't played a lot of futsal. I did it once. It was a disaster. It's really hard. It hurts your body when you don't wear the proper equipment. Omar, thoughts on this, and what do you want to get out of it?
I think because obviously in futsal you get a lot more of those 1v1 situations. I think for me it's noticing how they go about those situations. As this is for goalkeeping, right?
Yes. Yeah. It's
okay.
It's so futsal GK analysis. Yeah. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. No. And I think
Go ahead.
Yeah. No. I think just like those final actions, a lot of times we've seen it as well through the social media, the block saves and all that stuff. So it'd be nice for me to hear their explanation and kind of going more in depth with their expectations with those situations, what situations those techniques need to be executed in. So for me, just hearing it specifically from them is going to be important versus more of the social media that I've seen, and they kind of just show you the final action. Not to say them, but just some people that I've seen, they show you the final action without the explanation. It's kind of like that technique in isolation versus the actual full-on picture, which I think for me, if I'm going to implement that kind of stuff, which I haven't I just don't know how to coach it yet. I know how to coach it, but I don't know how to verbalize it or showcase it where these goalkeepers don't just start defaulting. And exactly how Andreas is saying. It is a controversial topic, but if you know and can show your goalkeepers when to and when not to use it, I think that's your goalkeepers will be better off with it.
And guys, I mean, honestly, this is the origin of the spread and the block is the futsal game. So if you can learn from that, and see it from the reason it's done in futsal and why it was incorporated into the 11s game, I think you're going to be better for it. The final one, guys, that we are going to be talking about here, and not because it's the least important, it's just in regards to we went from Wednesday all the way to Sunday, and these people are so busy throughout the entire time at the convention. I think that's why they're running on Sunday, because they're very, very busy. Lisa Cole, who's the director of goalkeeping for United Soccer, I think she's just got so much on her plate. Sunday she can finally get down onto the field, and she's going to be there with Allie Lipscher, who was just recently with Casey Current in NWSL. I'm not sure what her new role is, but I know that we will be finding that out when we see her there. And this is age appropriate training, creating the right training environment for the right age. That is something that I think is really, really important, because there's a difference between youth U16 and youth U7. And a lot of goalkeeper coaches out there run the same session or dumb down their U16 session for U7s and think that they're running the right session.
Yeah. I don't work with that young of an age, or I haven't in a long, long time. So I think, again, it's always nice to see at the fundamental stages what they're trying to teach, what they're trying to incorporate. And maybe those are the things that every now and again, when we have some training sessions with the older guys, when we have kind of a slower day, we can kind of implement those fundamental pieces again, and try to just fine tune them.
I mean, I will speak as somebody that does work with the foundational ages quite a bit. I started recognizing the fact that I was trying to, because, and I think a lot of it was because parents were pressuring me into, because they would watch the game with their kids they watch Premier League in the weekend or NWSL or whatever. And they'd say, blah, blah, blah. They're like, can you put a session together for this? Because I feel like this is something they don't really understand. And I started realizing, oh my gosh, I'm putting the cart before the horse, Like, yeah. I need to simplify it, and I need to realize not only just in regards to what is the demands of their game, like Nathan Thackeray says, but also what can their mental capacity actually take in right now in the development of their brain. An 11-year-old can comprehend a lot more than an 8-year-old, and a 16-year-old can comprehend a lot more than an 11-year-old. So you've got to understand the maturation of the emotional and mental component of the goalkeeper too.
I think that's again, to your point there, I think that's a huge point, is that when you get to coach those younger, as you said, foundational ages, you start to realize, how can I dumb this down and verbalize this in a way? I call it the Twitter method. Like, how can I verbalize this in a way that can fit in a 140 characters? And normally when I post on Instagram, it's a lot more. And sometimes that's how I talk, is a little rambly, and there's no real end to it. But then when you go to the Twitter method, it's like, how do I keep this as succinct as possible? Like you said, my clear, concise, and direct. And then from there, be able to, as a younger goalkeeper, have them internalize that and be like, oh, that makes sense. And I think when you get to the olders as well, maybe for me too, I overcomplicate it. And some of those same clear, concise, and direct points and coaching points, those things can be implemented at the pro level as well.
Yeah. I think you just brought up a wonderful point in regards to, we all can learn from each other regardless of what age that we're working with. And that's extremely important, because you never know what you could take from a futsal session, from an under-8 session, from a pro session that's going to directly, work for what you're doing in one day, in a certain environment. Speaking of that and collaboration, let's get into this, guys. So a lot of people have been DMing today or texting me and being like, how do I use this? What do I do? I'm a little confused. I know it's a social media. So guys, the Union app, again, guys, it's a social media network for different sports communities. The first one is Goalkeeping, which just launched today. I think Omar and I were going to kind of walk you through it a little bit. So I'm going to share my screen right now. Let's see here. Can everyone see that? Oop. Is that showing up? All right, cool.
Yeah, I can actually, I'm going to grab my charger real quick. My computer is going to die soon. But I have my phone here, so I can just screen share my phone. And this is kind of like, this is the welcome packet, but I can give them a more up-to-date look.
Sure. Yeah, do that.
1 second. I'll be right back.
Okay, cool. So guys, while Omar is doing that, I'm just going to kind of showcase. This is a welcome PDF packet. If you don't have it, reach out to us directly, and we will get it to you. But it walks you through step by step, kind of how to use the whole thing here. Omar's back real quickly, so I'm just going to remove this. I'll remove that from the screen and bring us back right here. Omar's fancy with his technology, so he can really walk everybody through everything right here.
Let me go ahead and share my screen.
Okay. All right.
There it is. Let's see if that works.
Look at that. Nope.
Hold
that
on,
is okay. We're almost there. Almost there. And guys, if you have questions, please put them in the comments section while we're figuring this out. And like I said, guys, we have a welcome packet that you can check out. If anybody's got any questions in regards to these sessions in KC, if you don't know where to find these sessions, it's on the app, guys. United Soccer Coaches app. Make sure you download the app. It's got all the sessions. You can star the ones that you're directly looking for. Here we go. All right. Walk us through, Omar.
All right. Well, you have our homepage. And right from the get-go, as you can see, we have this carousel. And we just wanted to make sure that whatever up-to-date news, up-to-date sessions, we have everything right in front for you guys. So let's say, for example, Ellie Roebuck with the England women's national team. You click that, and then right away, you can watch the session. And it's very straightforward, very, very simple here. Boom.
Look at
Then
that.
You have... Then we have in the top right here, as you can see, lifetime golden gloves in the top corner. I'm going to click that. And so we wanted to work on, creating rewards and opportunities to accumulate points for engaging, whether that's posting on the forum, whether that's commenting, liking, you posting your own videos, all that good stuff. You actually can accumulate points, and we do have rewards as of now. It's going to take some work, but if you get to 25,000 golden gloves, then you actually get the Union official hoodie. So that's
and we actually have a raffle for that as well too, Omar, in Kansas City, don't we? If you go to the booth and you download the app and you get a little raffle ticket, right? And you could be entered.
You do, yeah. I think we have 10 available now. So if you wanted to bypass this process of actually needing to start commenting and all that stuff, and you wanted to get straight to it, go to Kansas City, meet us there. Probably take you a lot less work if you just stayed home and did it on the app. But if you wanted to be an overachiever, meet us in KC, get a raffle ticket, and try and win one of the 10 available. Then obviously, if you scroll down a little bit, you have the Explore the app. And if you go to Feed, that's the one where myself and other coaches, and we have 4 pillars, Mike, which is coaching, education. I have them right here, actually. No, that's the group. Oops.
That's the group.
Give me 1 second. Yeah, give me 1 second. Let me pull this up.
I'll walk it through for everybody. It's coaching, education. It's sports performance. Oh, here we go.
There it is. Well, right now we have, the athlete, which could be the nutrition side. But we have coaching, education, sports performance, and sports science. We feel as though whether it's people we've had on the podcast or goalkeepers and players that we've spoken to over the years, and even in our own playing careers, these seem to be the 4 pillars that a lot of people are really trying to get content in. So if you find yourself in the app and you say, you know what, I can provide content for sports science, I can provide content for sports performance, you can email us, which on the front page you'll see here. You can apply to be a creator. So if I press apply here, then again, creator submission, send your information. There's going to be opportunities for you to become a content contributor. And then you have here, you can browse files and send us whether it's programs you've done in the past or of you actually being on the field and doing this stuff.
You know what this reminds me of, Omar? That reminds me of colleges. Like when you go on like the website of like the athletic, they're like, if you're under the age of 16, like we cannot contact you directly, but please send in your application, like with your information, like your resume, all that sort of stuff. So it's the same thing. Now there is also, in regards to that, guys, I want you to all know that we're looking for diverse voices. And I know that sounds like a catchphrase or, a trendy thing to say, but no, we really are. We're looking for people that are training in all different walks of life. If you're a parent and you think you have something to contribute, reach out to us. We're looking for all that people. And that being said, I think the forum is really the area that we really want to showcase to a lot of people here.
Yes. So here's the forum. Again, you could check out the community members. You can start adding people. I'll just start doing that now for a lot of the newer users from our official launch today. So thank you guys who've added and who are on the platform as well. You can go out and check out the community members. But for us, this is, in our opinion, the best place for any young and up-and-coming content creators, anybody who wants to just learn as much as they can about the position. We have different groups as well, different leagues. But for example, if I were to go here, like I said earlier, and I click this training footage button, now you're able to actually see all the video footage from yourself as a user, and as well as the coaches that are on here as well, putting out sessions, putting out drills. And again, if you're a young coach or a young player that wants to train on your own, you come to this section and now you get really, really good ideas.
And by the way, guys, this is not a passive experience. We want you to interact. We want you to be posting. Kids out there, I don't care how old you are, post in the forum. Show us what you just worked on, or hey, here's my last high school match. I'd love some feedback on this, or someone so and so just won this award, or so and so was just released by breaking news, whatever it is that you want to talk about. Think of it like Twitter. Think of it like Reddit or Discord or anything like that, which is a community environment, guys. That's what we want. We don't want this. It's not masterclass. You're not watching video sessions and then that's it, right?
Exactly. And again, that's, we have the incentive of the engagement rewards and all that good stuff. But again, we want this to be a community. We really want you guys to just learn from one another. And we don't want people, and I think a lot of times as well, people are like, well, why would I contribute if I don't know too much about, goalkeeping? There's people who do that anyways. I'm like, I think for us as well, just breaking down that wall, allowing people to be themselves, allowing you to showcase where you're at, what stage you're at in your coaching career, in your playing career, whatever it is, showcase that, and even just share ideas in the discussion. And when you start getting the discussions out there, somebody maybe out there who's in a different part of the world might hear a concern or question that you may have, and all of a sudden go, wow, okay, thank God that question was answered, because now I don't have to ask it. So just trust me, somebody somewhere out there will always have the same question as you. So don't be afraid. Don't even worry about it. Just post here. This is a community for us and by us.
And again, guys, this is a safe space, and I know that's also a kind of a triggering a phrase to a lot of people out there, but it's a safe space. We want anyone, even a parent out there, let's say, hey, my daughter was just in this match today. This is what happened. Does anybody have any advice here? Again, this is a place where you can get all like-minded individuals who are here for the right reasons to come together and talk. And I think a really cool feature, Omar, is the fact that things can start trending like they do on Twitter, but for the right reasons they start trending.
Exactly, yeah. And you see here the little lightning bolt there. So on trending, if you went to popular, that's kind of where things would. Another follower. Shout out to you. You come on here, and again, amount of likes and people, some traction and traffic in there. You come on here, and again, it just kind of starts filtering out the information for you. And on following as well, whether it's groups or other community members in the community, you can kind of, again, start to filter out the amount of content that you get, and you can actually make it more specific to, the timeline that you're trying to create. And then obviously groups, we have different groups here. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, first off, the groups thing, guys, really, I want everyone to really start and can they start their own groups, Omar? Can they start their own groups too? Or how does that work?
As of now, no, but we have obviously the master channel on ours, so we can have anybody just reach out to us and just say, hey, I'd love to have this implemented. And these are just the general groups, obviously different leagues, and also to game highlights, which again, we encourage you as well. There'll be some top coaches on here who, if you do share your game highlights, they will come across it at some point. And then obviously, whether it's college games, shout out to Olympic. Thank you, Andreas. Appreciate that. Different opportunities, whether it's discussions, game highlights, EPL, NWSL, player highlights, everything. So go ahead and let us know if there's a group that you want us to create. And then obviously, this is the one that Mike and I had been discussing earlier, is that near me button. So if you're looking for a goalkeeper coach, if you're looking for someone to train with, if you're looking to just meet somebody on the platform that you could potentially go out and work with and train with, this is where it is. You can put your range. Right now I have 100 miles. I'm hoping people in the building at LAFC are using it. So I'm afraid that if I put it at 1 mile and nobody will show up, so I'm going to be embarrassed. So I'll keep it at 100 miles for now. For sure, Juan, obviously at UCLA, not too far away. So yes, those are the buttons that we're looking at, Mike, on the forum, and in my opinion, where a lot of people spend most of their time.
I got a question, Omar, and I think, obviously I'm a little familiar with the app, being part of the process as it's been developed and everything like that. But I think a lot of people out here might be a little confused in regards to what type of content can they share. They're allowed to do audio, pictures, video. Is there a streaming aspect yet? Podcasts, all sorts of stuff, right?
Yeah. So we have opportunities for for people to become creators. So if you wanted to obviously share videos in the feed, which is longer form content, man, I have the LAFC Instagram push notifications on. Yeah, if you wanted to come on, obviously share videos, you can go ahead and do that in our feed and in the forum as well. This is for more of our long form, so like full sessions and above, whether, again, if it's sports performance, sports science, reach out to us if you want to become a verified creator on that side of things. But on the forum, as of now, you can create audio pieces, but it would have to be on outside first. So like it would be on Spotify, you would just share the link. We are working on integrating live streaming. We are working on integrating more like live streaming with podcasts and all that good stuff. But that's obviously the next phase. For now, it is if you want to become a verified creator and someone who has a catalog of content, reach out to us and we can start posting and promoting your content on the feed.
And if you want to do that, guys, also, even if you're not a goalkeeper or a goalkeeper coach, if you think that there's something of value to goalkeepers, again, reach out to us. Like I said, nutrition and lifestyle. I mean, this is an important thing. I know some people have reached out in regards to they want to share different diet plans and all that sort of stuff. And some people are kind of blending both worlds. Like, shout out to people like Jesse Goldman, who's been posting quite a bit, who's doing a lot of sports performance stuff, even though he is a high level goalkeeper coach himself. So again, guys, if you think something fits into one category, let us know where you think it fits. Maybe you're already posting in one area and you wanted to start posting in another area, and you tell us why that works there. But what about the DM feature, right? Like on Instagram, you can DM people, right, Omar?
You can, yeah. So let me just, so this is where you have your activity notifications. If somebody follows you, if somebody likes your post, somebody tags you somewhere, you can go on here. And then you have your discussions. So again, these are when if you comment on a post and people are discussing with you on that post. If you don't want to have to go to the specific post, you can actually come here, and again, it shows you all the things and all the discussions that you're currently involved in. Oh, sorry about that. Then you go to.
Was that one of your own?
No, that was my mom. She was texting
okay.
me. And then you have the feed in the form if you wanted to do like a bookmark and create favorites. I don't have any just yet, but if you wanted to do that, this is where it's at. Again, just like you would on Twitter, Instagram, all those places, you would have those opportunities to save posts that you want to go back to. And then direct messages, I don't have any either. But if you wanted to, if I go back to the
well, we did launch today, so I think that's okay. I think it's okay.
Yeah, we're still. Let me see who I can reach out to. Maybe if I wanted to, is Mike on here? Let's see if I can search.
Oh my God, are you gonna DM me right now? Oh my gosh. Oh, this is fancy.
Hold on. Let's see if you come up here.
All right, look at that. Okay. All right.
I can click here. Oh, well, I guess once you have comments and things posted, Mike, then I can find your profile there.
Oh, okay. So I haven't. Oh, I haven't sent any direct messages before though. That's the thing.
No. So I have to. But we can. You can create an opportunity. You can send messages to people easily. Okay. Let me see if I can do this again. But anyways, that's how you can do it. I have to work that out right now. But yeah, that's how you can do it. And then obviously the Golden Gloves, if you wanted to see how many points you've earned. So watching Ellie Robic earlier, that English video, I get 5 Golden Gloves for that. And then again, accumulating 25,000, which will get a Union sweater.
Yeah, and by the way, guys, more prizes to be announced. That's just where we're starting out from, starting point from today. And if you guys have any ideas of prizes that you want to be offered, let us know. Also, if you have any ideas of content that you want, we want feedback from you guys. So really make sure there's an email they can even reach out to, even directly through the app, right, Omar? If they've got feedback that they want to give.
Yes. Let me pull that back up. So here we have the feedback form, very much to the creator one as well, very similar to that. You can create this and then send us your feedback, and it'll come to our support email. And we do take all the emails that you guys send to us and take it into account when we have our weekly meetings and discuss it. So we'll speak to our developers weekly on those kind of things.
Yeah, I mean, and shout out to anybody who's been checking out the beta form version of the app and been giving us feedback, because it's really helped us in regards to getting ready for this official launch on what you guys want and what you guys you guys don't want. I mean, I'm honestly, I'm really excited about it. Really hopeful that you guys enjoy it as well. As you said, guys, Goalkeeping Community is the first one. So if you have friends out there that play other sports or play other positions, have them be on the lookout, because as this thing grows, the union is just going to keep growing and growing and growing. But we wanted to start with goalkeeping because that's what was near and dear to our hearts. So we're excited.
Yes. Yeah. So it's, again, as Mike said, it's a really good opportunity to just get on board and to, again, just engage more of the community. And like we talk about the near me feature, just having opportunities to get to know people in your area that you may not have even known were there. So it's exciting. Yeah. It's gonna be fun.
Cool. Well, guys, I mean, honestly, this is a kind of a, it's a weird episode, because the thing is that this is not the last episode of the week. We are doing, oh my gosh, a lot of episodes this week. We're not exactly sure which ones we're going to do live. I think we're going to try to do Eric Winalda live. I think a lot of people want to be involved in that virtually as well too. Maybe a couple others will go live depending on what our capacity is, from a lack of sleep, or I don't know. We're going to try to sleep. I'm going to try to keep that barbecue in my body so that I've got some energy. That's what I'm going to be doing there.
We'll figure it out, yeah.
But guys, obviously, the number one thing is, guys, is make sure to say hello to us in Kansas City. UnitedSoccerCoaches.com/convention. That's all the information, guys. 19th to the 23rd. We're going to be on Podcast Row. The Union app is free on Apple and Google stores. Is there any other stores is that the whole world? The whole world's Apple and Google, right?
Yeah, that's it right there.
All right. The whole world has got Apple and Google, guys. If you want to reach out directly to Omar Zini, do it at Pro GK Academy on the Union app. That's where you should send all your DMs from now on. We're going Union, guys. We're going Union. If you guys want to reach out to us, at Goalkeeper Podcast on the Union app, contact at inside the 18. That's the number 18media.com, or at Goalkeeper Podcast on the traditional social media platforms. I'm going to throw this up here, right here from Brian. Gents, good luck with your presentation/session this weekend, and have fun at the convention. Thank you, Brian. Thank you. We appreciate all your support. We appreciate all the insiders' support. That's all the time for Inside. Oh, guys, check me out, michaelmagicomedy.com. I will be headlining February 18th to the 20th in San Diego. So for all the San Diego insiders, make sure to come out and support so that they invite me back to headline again. That's how it works. If you don't get anybody out, they say, you're not a big enough draw. We're going to get somebody else to headline this weekend. But honestly, shout out to all the insiders that have been downloading my album, been following the comedy stuff. That's how I've been able to get these headlining gigs coming. All right, Omar, anything else you want to say before we head to Kansas City?
No, just a big week ahead of us for us. And again, appreciate everybody who's downloaded the app, who's on the app, and it definitely means a lot to us. And hopefully we'll see a lot more of your faces in person as well. Yep.
All right, guys, that's it. That's all the time on Inside the 18, and we are out. Later, guys. Download the Union.